Hello, my name is Doreen and my student ID is 111501039, and today I'm going to explain question number 1. Let's first take a look at the question. After China's entry into WTO in 2001, US became the major importer of Chinese products. And in the end of 2018, President Trump ordered the imposition of tariffs on Chinese products. Nearly all economists who responded to surveys conducted by Associated Press and Reuters said that Trump's tariffs would do more harm than good to the American economy. And question number A, use a diagram to explain why USA became the importer of Chinese products under WTO's free trade agreements. So here's the diagram. When there's without trade, the domestic price and quantity of USA are here, PD and QD. However, under free trade, the domestic price had fallen to the world price, PW, letting the domestic customers' demand increased, and the domestic producers' supplies, QS, decreased, therefore creating a gap, and that's the amount of imports. Next, question B. Use another diagram to show how President Trump's tariff policy would affect USA's import of Chinese products. And here's the diagram. Under free trade, domestic price will equal to world price. But when there's tariff imposed on imports, it will raise domestic price above world price by the amount of the tariff. So when President Trump's tariff policy enacted, the price would rise by the amount of the tariff and lead to the decrease in imports. For questions C and D, I will explain these two together. First, do you agree with those economists? Explain your arguments. Use a graphical analysis to support your arguments. So, as the diagram shows, under the free trade, the customer's surplus is A plus B plus C plus D plus E plus F, and the producer's surplus is the G part. The total surplus are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and after imposing the tariff, customer's surplus became A plus B, and producer surplus became C plus G, and the tax revenue is E. So the total surplus are A, B, C, E, and G, eventually created that what lost, D plus F. So therefore, if the tariff policy raises the price too high and making a larger debt with loss, it would sure do more harm than good to the American economy.
Hello everyone, my name is Chen Weishan. Today I'm going to answer question 2. Pigment tax is meant to discourage activities that impose a cost of production onto third parties and society as a whole. And for question 1, what is the definition of a socially harmful externality? And please give an example of socially harmful externality. The definition of a socially negative externality is something that negatively impacts a person or people who are involved in a situation. For example, factory may release air pollution into the environment, incurring large social costs that neither the factory owners nor the consumer purchasing their product pay. And for question B, use a diagram to show how pigment tax shifts the cost from society to the producers of this socially harmful externality. And as the diagram we can see, the supply curve will shift to the left because the producer will bear the burden of the tax, and the tax is pigment tax, and this is equals to external cost. So supply curve will shift off and the supply curve will shift to the left. And for the question C, use another diagram to explain why Pygmalion tax discourage behavior that create this negative externality. Since the supply curve will shift to the left, so the social optimal price will increase from P1 to P2, and the quantity will decrease from Q1 to Q2, which means Pygmalion tax will increase cost to producers. And when the consumer face higher prices, it will reduce the demand quantity of the product. As a result, Pygmalion tax can discourage behavior that generate negative externality because the price is higher and the quantity is lower. And for the question D, use another diagram to explain why Pygmalion tax can also create more efficiency in an economy, especially when tax cover the cost of external damage. And we can, as the diagram we can see, and before the tax, the supply curve is S1 and the demand curve is D. So the consumer surplus is A, D, P1. And the producer surplus is P1, D, O. And the tax revenue is 0 because at this time we have no tax. And the external damage is C, D, O, G. This is the external damage. And after we have the Pygmalion tax, the consumer surplus, the supply curve is S2 and the demand curve is D. So the consumer surplus is A, B, D, P2, and the producer surplus is O, F, E. The tax revenue is P2, B, E, F. Because this is the tax and this is quantity. The tax revenue equals P2, B, E, F. And the external damage after tax is B, E, O, G. So the total social welfare after taxing is BCD, as this calculate. And as a result, Pygmalion tax can create more efficiency because we have the more social welfare, that is BCD. So Pygmalion tax can create more efficiency in an economy.
Hello everyone, my name is Yang Haoqing. I'm a freshman in the Department of Land Economics, and I'm about to explain the third question of economics topics to you. The first is question A. We must fill in all the contents of this form. The known numbers are quantity, total revenue, total variable cost, average total cost. And we can use the information provided by these questions to calculate the values of total cost, average variable cost, total fixed cost, average fixed cost, and price in the spaces. These are the correct values in the spaces, and I will explain in detail how the values are calculated and the related formulas on the next page. First, we have to calculate price. Because price multiplied by quantity will equal to total revenue. If we work backwards, total revenue divided by quantity can get price. From the data given in the question, we can see that total revenue is 4,000 and quantity is 2,000. 4,000 divided by 2,000 is 2, and we can know that the price is 2. The second one is total cost, which is obtained by multiplying average total cost by quantity. In a given scenario where average total cost is 2.2 and the quantity is 2,000, multiplying them yields total cost as 4,400. The third calculation involves average variable cost, which is obtained by dividing total variable cost by quantity. According to the provided information, total variable cost is 3,600 and quantity is 2,000. Dividing these two values reveals that average variable cost is 1.8. Moving on the fourth calculation, total fixed cost is required. Since total cost is the sum of total fixed cost and total variable cost, and we have already calculated total cost as 4,400. Subtracting total variable cost, 3,600 from total cost gives total fixed cost as 800. Finally, average fixed cost is calculated by dividing total fixed cost by Q, quantity. We previously determined total fixed cost to be 800 and dividing it by quantity 200 yields average fixed cost as 0.4. Now let's discuss question B. A perfectly competitive firm currently faces conditions shown in Table 1. At its current level of production, the average variable cost of the firm is minimized, suggesting that its marginal cost equals its average variable cost. Is the firm maximizing its profit? Explain why. And it is the answer of the question. Is a firm maximizing its profit? When a firm aims to maximize its profit, marginal revenue must equal marginal cost. In other words, maximum profit occurs when marginal profit is 0. The question emphasizes that this scenario is in a perfectly competitive market, where a crucial condition is marginal revenue equals price equals average revenue. Subsequently, question B specifies the premise that average variable cost equals marginal cost. And in the highlighted portion of the table, we have average variable cost and price. Given that average variable cost equals marginal cost equals 1.8 and price is 2. In a perfectly competitive market where marginal revenue equals price equals 2, the firm cannot achieve maximum profits. This is because price exceeds marginal cost, equivalent to marginal revenue being greater than marginal cost, which contradicts the condition of marginal revenue equals marginal cost. I'm going to talk about the question C. If you were the consultant hired by the firm, how would you suggest the firm manager to do initial round? Explain why. A graphical analysis is required. If I were the consultant hired by the firm, I will suggest my manager to continue producing goods in the short run. And why? We can know from our table that the price is 2. Average variable cost is 1.8, and we can know that the price is greater than average variable cost in the short run. And in these circumstances, the income can cover some fixed cost, and the loss is smaller than shutdown. And the firm will produce quantity where price equals marginal cost. Here are two graphs. The left one represents the short-run supply curve, while the right one depicts firm profits. We observe that the quantity produced by the firm aligns with price equals marginal cost. And on the right one, we can know that the average cost is greater than price, and the price is greater than average variable cost. So we can know from this graph. If the firm still producing goods, the loss is the 8 green area total fixed cost. But if the firm stops producing goods, its loss will be the A and B, the whole green area total fixed cost. So we can know, above all, we cannot shut down, but continue producing goods.
Hello everyone, my name is Wenru, and today I'm going to show you how to deal with the question number 4. So let's move on the question. The question is talking about there's a company called Barrick Gold, which owns 2 mines. One is in Buyanghulu, and the other one is in Karluli. And they give us the tables about the production and the selling price and the average cash cost and the average cost in 2 places. There's something need to mention is the average cash cost is something like average variable cost, including the operating costs, royalties, and the taxes. The other one, the average cost, include the cash cost as well as the amortization. So the question A is, suppose that Buyanghulu mine always produces at a scale where its marginal cost equal to the selling price of gold. Its marginal cost curve, however, shifts with changes in electricity prices, wages, and the other factors. Using the data from Table 2 illustrates the shift in Buyanghulu's marginal cost curve, the selling price, and the profit maximizing scale of production between 2002 and 2004. So let's move on our answers. In 2002, Buyanghulu, they produced 356,000 ounces and sell them at 339 per ounce. So the graph will look like this. The profit maximizing scale is 356,000 ounces. Then in the 2003, they produced 314,000 ounces and selling at 366 per ounce. So the graph will look like this. It shifts to the left compared to the 2002. And the profit maximizing scale is 340,000 ounces. And in the 2004, they produced 350,000 ounces and selling at 391 per ounce. Compared to the 2003, it shifts to the right a little bit. So the marginal cost curve will initially shift to the left and then shift to the right. So we move on to question B. Question B says that in 2003, Barrick continued to produce from the Buyanghulu mine, even though the selling price of gold is 366 per ounce, was less than its average production cost of 369 per ounce. Was this a mistake? My answer is no, this is not a mistake, because they still earn the accounting profit. even though the selling price is less than the cost, but they still earn the accounting profit, so they keep going. It is not a mistake. So we move on to question number C. Use Barrick's 2004's data to compare first short-run break-even condition for Bulyanhulu and Kalgoorlie, and the second is the long-run break-even condition for both of them. So we move on to our answer. Here's our answers. On the left-hand side is the Bulyanhulu's graph in short-run break-even. It concludes the average cash cost and marginal cost curve and the break-even. And in the right side is the short-run break-even of Kalgoorlie. It also concludes the average cash cost and the marginal cost curve and the short-run break-even. The short-run break-even will be the intersection of marginal cost curve and the average cash cost. So the break-even will be the orange point in the graph. And let's move on to the long-run break-even. On the left-hand side is the long-run break-even in Bulyanhulu, and in the right-hand side is the long-run break-even in the Kalgoorlie. It concludes the average cost and the marginal cost curve and the long-run break-even. And the long-run break-even is the intersection of average cost and the marginal cost. So in the break-even, both of them will be the orange point, just as I draw on the graph. And here's all my solution for question number 4. Thanks for watching.
Next, question number 5. An electric company is a classic example of a nature monopoly. Taipower Company has been a monopoly in selling electricity to Taiwanese customers for 70 years. And Taiwan recently passed an amendment to its Electricity Act that now allows other suppliers of traditional energy to sell electricity directly to customers, effectively ending Taipower's 70 years of sector monopoly. And question number 8. What is the definition of nature monopoly? In the diagram, draw average cost curve, average variable cost curve, and marginal cost curve for a nature monopoly. So natural monopoly is a single firm that can produce the entire market quantity at a lower cost than other several firms. So in the diagram, the MC curve is an upward sloping curve, and the average cost curve is half bending and parallelized with the average variable cost curve. Therefore, the complete diagram looks like this. Then question B, why is an electric company such as Taipower Company a natural monopoly? Taipower Company is a natural monopoly is because it was a government's business, so they own the key resource, lead to the economies of scale over the relevant range of output. And question C, use a diagram including various cost curves, market demand curve faced by Taipower, and Taipower's marginal revenue curve to show how Taipower chooses its optimal quantity of output and price. First, the optimal quantity. Optimal means the best, so we need to find the profit maximization output. First, the profit maximizing quantity is where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So we find the meeting point of the two curves on the diagram. And here, remember the marginal cost curve is same as the variable cost curve because total cost equals fixed cost plus variable cost. And since fixed cost is fixed, we can assume that only variable cost is affecting marginal cost. Then at this quantity, find the price on the demand curve. And that's the quantity and the price. And question B. When other suppliers of traditional energy are allowed to sell electricity directly to Taiwanese customers, the electricity market in Taiwan becomes perfectly competitive, and use another diagram to show the market equilibrium point for the case of perfect competition. When the electricity monopoly market became perfectly competitive, the original diagram's marginal curve became the supply curve. Then we can find the market equilibrium point at the meeting point of it and the demand curve. Last, discuss how electricity price and electricity quantity in Taiwan will be changed as the electricity market in Taiwan will move from monopoly to perfect competition. So, from the previous diagram in question D, we can see the electricity price fall and quantity increase when the market moves from monopoly to perfect competition. This is because at the competitive market equilibrium, price equals to marginal cost and maximize the total surplus. However, monopoly equilibrium, price will be bigger than the marginal cost. But the quantity is too low here, so eventually will result in a deadwood loss. And that's for all of the question. Thanks for watching.